right, welcome back to the Prospecting Show. Today is Thursday, September 30th. We're rounding and coming into Q4, which is super exciting. Today we have Dr. Terri Levine on the Prospecting Show. How are you?
Great, excited to be with you and with your listeners and viewers.
Thank you so much. So this is the format of the show. We always talk past, present, and future. The goal of the Prospecting Show really started as a show to talk about generating business and lead gen and kind of building out offers and growing companies, but it's really turned into like an entrepreneurial highlight, right? So the purpose of the show today is to talk about, your history, kind of your past, what you do today, what your offers are, how you help people, all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the past. Tell us about, what you do for school, some of the first kind of businesses or projects or jobs you've done, kind of walk us through all the way up until today.
Okay, I'll make it quick because I've been around in business for a long time. My first degree was a master's degree in speech language pathology. And ignorantly, I started my own clinic. I had no knowledge of business, sales, or marketing. I only knew how to be a speech language pathologist. So I was failing. Literally, I had no patients. And at the time, I had to get referrals from doctors. And then I kind of figured out a system and I grew that business. And back in, 1983, I sold that business for $1 million, which in 1983 was like a lot of money. Then I started my next business, which was completely different, a home art show company. Grew that business to $12 million and sold it. And then I started another venture with some business partners, and that was a rehabilitation company. And that was ridiculous because in 3 months, we worked our butts off and developed this huge company. And within 6 months, we did about $88 million in sales, just being in the right place at the right time. I sold my part of that company, took a job as a CEO of a national healthcare company, spent 5 years miserable in corporate America because I'm an entrepreneur. And about 27 years ago, I walked away and started my own coaching and consulting business. Been doing that happily ever since. I also have a PhD in clinical psychology and lots of life coaching certifications and business consulting experience and certifications. That's me in a nutshell, Connor.
And that's actually a crazy story. When you tell me like 80 plus $1 million, like, holy smokes, that's hard to calculate and just think about, right? So like, tell us a little bit about the difference from the first business to the second business, like that kind of growth that you have. You did the exit, which most people never get to the exit, right? They just build and build and build and it never goes anywhere. But you did the exit and you did it more than once. What do you think the number one difference was between the $1 million exit and like a company that's doing $80 plus million in sales? Like those are two different businesses. What changed?
Yeah, everything is different. So what changed is in the first business, I was more of a solopreneur. It was the Terri Levine show. And I could only grow that business to a certain amount, right? I was trading time for money. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day where I could have seen patients as a speech language pathologist. When I started the second company, which was the home art show business, I used a model of duplication and replication. So we trained approximately 1,800 art consultants all through the United States, so that it wasn't just me doing the business. I had 1,800 people doing that. Let me fast forward to the $88 million company. First of all, I want people to know we're in the right place at the right time with the right concept, and we were first to market, okay? So replicating that is not gonna be that easy. Here's what worked. Number one, there were 3 of us. We literally did marketing, all of us. Each of us worked about 80 hours a week doing nothing but marketing. We got within the first 3 months a ton of traction. And then we instantly, literally brought on an army of sales and marketing people, over 100 people. And so that's how the company expanded so quickly. And then the final piece is when I started my consulting business, I replicated the model. And so 27, almost 28 years ago, I did about $500,000 as a coach consultant. And then we've gone on to do, at least $1 million the first year, and then $3 to $4 million every single year replicating what I did in that $88 million a year company. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting too, because if you go backwards, I mean, I don't know the exact timeline of it, but building businesses today theoretically should be easier because there's a lot of stuff today that didn't exist even 10 years ago, right? Just like social media as a whole, different platforms, different outreach, different like organic strategies, paid strategies. Like there's a lot of ways today where you can put money into a machine and get something back out. Whereas 20 years ago is like, we might actually have to hire people to do every single piece of this job. And we actually do need to trade time for dollars. We just got to trade a lot of time for a lot of dollars, right? So there's a lot more leverage today. What do you think the number one thing is that a business owner today should be focusing on? Like you've grown a bunch of businesses. What's the thing that they should say, I'm going to do that every day, no matter what?
So if you own a company, own a business, you need to have prospects every single day, period. That's the number one reason people go out of business. They don't have customers. So you need to have a automated prospecting system every day. What could that be? Certainly you could be using other people's audiences. You could be podcasting, you could be blogging, you could be writing articles. You could have an email drip campaign. You could have an automated webinar. I use one thing, literally one thing, and that is a very different kind of Facebook community. And that's where all my prospects have come from for about 7 years.
And talk to us a little bit about that, right? Because like we have a Facebook group that we started 12 weeks ago, took to like 2,300 people in 12 weeks, which I talked to a bunch of people and they're like, wow, that's pretty good, right? To grow that speed.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things I'm learning, right? I'm like learning through the process. It's not something we've done before. What are some of the success metrics or some of the things you look for in a successful group, right? We've had a little bit of growth in a little bit of time. You've been doing it for many years. What makes a group successful?
So first of all, your group has to have a theme. You have to tell who is it for and what's the result of being in the group. Second of all, you don't want people that are just automatically being accepted that either don't have Facebook profiles, are spammers, belong to hundreds of Facebook groups. So we're very, very rigid about who we accept and who we invite. We only look for the ideal target audience. Next, you have to create a lot of value and content in the group. So I'm in there live, I do live trainings, master classes, I give away documents, books, templates, cheat sheets, my best emails, everything is given away in the group. And so your Facebook group really, everyone's Facebook group needs to really create community, and it needs to have a group of like-minded people. That's my best advice.
And talk to us a little bit about the taking of a person in the group who doesn't know you. They've came to the group, but they don't necessarily know you to start. And you've taken them through that nurture, kind of like, hey, this is what I do. This is how I help people. And then pushing them into an actual customer. What's that process look like?
So for us, the process is, first of all, greeting them when they join and sending them a welcome, and then inviting them to do a standalone post or even a video so that we can all find out about them and their business. Next, it's making sure that they know about the live training that I do in the group every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So whether it's emailing them or messaging them. Third, we use automation, we use AI, and we reach out to them by email and by text saying, hey, so glad you joined the group. What's your biggest business challenge? Would you like any help? Would you like to get on the phone? And then my team, literally, not to sell them, I want to be really clear. My team just gets on the phone with them to find out about them and their business and to see if we can help them. We have no idea. Whether or not we can, we give them some free help, free advice, and ask them to be more active in the group. That's our entire process.
And when people come through that process and become customers, you've obviously generated customers in multiple businesses. Do you notice that the customers are better quality, or they stay longer, or they're more happy? Or like, is there anything you're noticing that when you take someone from a group who's gone through that community and then become a customer, are they better? Like, tell us about that type of customer.
Really good question. So for about the last 7 years, I would say 90% of my, I call them client family members, have come from my group. And they've raised their hands. I call that reverse marketing. They raise their hands. How do I get to work with Terri? Or they've commented on a post, I'm interested, whatever it might be. They're excellent. They are pre-qualifying themselves. They pre-qualified themselves. Hey, I want to join the group. Then we qualified them. Yes, you can join the group. Then they're watching content. And in my experience, people need to watch, not read. They need to watch about 1 hour of your content to get to know you, like you, and trust you. And then finally, my team is doing a screening. Can we really help them before we reach out our hand and extend an offer? Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. And I think the big thing that is interesting too is just the sales process. It's so specific the way you guys do it. So like you said, it's scalable, replicatable, systematized, like it's organized as a business process. So, for people that don't necessarily understand exactly how you help people today, walk us through that. Like, what is it that you do? Who's the ideal customer? How could they learn more? Like, I know we're going to drop some links and all that, but tell us a little bit more about what you actually do.
Right. So I am a business consultant, which is different than a business coach. I want to be very clear. A coach will say things like, hey, Connor, if you knew the answer, what would the answer be? As a consultant, I give you my advice. 43 years in business, over 6,000 clients in 19 countries. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, how to do it. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to give you templates, checklists, tools, all of my assets and my life's work to make things work for you. Plus, because I'm not a coach, I can actually guarantee your success, where a coach is like, well, it's all up to what you do. In my experience, it's up to you and me partnering in implementation. So what I do is I work with coaches, consultants, advisors, mentors, therapists, content creators, internet marketers, that sort of anyone who has a business that really provides transformation, not a widget. And what I do is I help them have more influence, more impact, and make more income. I guarantee an extra $100,000 in 6 months using a system that is called the modern coaching method, which is something that you said before. It's so much easier to go build a business today, right? 28 years ago, for me to do that first 500,000 in year one, we didn't have any of these tools. Now it's super easy. And so I literally hand people everything they need at the modern coaching method to achieve that.
Yeah, and I think fundamentally that's what a lot of people need to look at, right? Is like not necessarily where they're at, but where they want to go, and then what the gap is. I think people have a hard time assessing that. They're like, hey, I'm stuck, but I don't know like what I'm stuck on, right? They just know that they're not where they want to be, right? That in that gap is like you almost have to tell them what their problem is and then tell them the solution to get there, right? So, for people that are really stuck in their business today, what do you think the number one thing is they should do? We talked about prospecting being the most important thing to grow the business, but what do you think they should do if they feel stuck?
So I want you to really think about, what are you stuck with? And this is a question that I ask people all the time. What is the next action you need to take to grow your business? And if you cannot answer that question, that's when you go get a business advisor or a business consultant. If you know what the answer is and you don't know the how, well, I'm stuck with, I don't know how to prospect. I don't know how to set up an automated webinar. I don't know how to write the right drip campaign. I don't know how to make a Facebook group successful. Whatever that is, you hire someone who can actually help you with that. And here's the mistake that I see most often. People are solopreneurs and they just go it alone. And the solopreneurs going it alone without advice are the ones that typically either go out of business or don't reach their goals. I have had a coach, consultant, or mentor in my life and in my business for 40 years. So find someone who has the answers, is running faster and bigger than you are, and get help so that your business is successful and you can help transform more people's lives.
Let's talk briefly here, just to kind of wrap it up and keep a tight show here. Let's talk a little bit about how they can reach out, right? We got the group. We'll drop that link there, facebook.com/group/entrepreneur with Terri Levine. We'll drop the link. It's a long one there. And then we also have the website, right, which is moderncoachingmethod.com. And then we'll also drop the heartrepreneur.com. Tell us about the differences between those links, like where they should go, what kind of things they should look for.
So if you want to understand what Heartrepreneur is, why did I name the company that? What does Heartrepreneur mean, which is a trademarked and branded word? Go to heartrepreneur.com, and you can also find out more about me, and there's a lot of free resources. Moderncoachingmethod.com is exactly the program and process if you want more influence, impact, and income. And that is my proprietary method, guaranteed 100K. And then when you drop into the Facebook community, I really want to explain this. This is not like other Facebook communities. This isn't like, hey, let's all follow each other on Instagram, which does nothing for you or for anyone else. This is really content, value, network, connections, and a place for you to drop in and find your ideal clients too, which is why it's called Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine. It's not the Terri Levine show. It's about all of us doing business heart to heart and together.
So for those of you who are listening, right, there's a lot of people listening to the show here that are business owners, men, women, Canada, US, people that are younger, people that are older. That we got a big mix of people that listen to the show. But the common thread is this: everybody's looking to grow their business, right? That some people sell widgets, most people sell services, most people are in that B2B helping other people type business model. So if you're listening to the Prospecting Show today, check out Dr. Terri Levine, heartrepreneur.com, if you want to learn about her and the brand and what that all kind of comes together as. If you're looking for the Facebook group, we'll drop the link below, but Heartrepreneurs with Terri Levine, we'll put that down as well. And then if you want, the moderncoachingmethod.com, check that out. There's a bunch of resources there that people can have access to. Thank you so much for coming on the Prospecting Show, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Connor.